Do you like big glitches and cannot lie? I do, I will not deny. Check this out and I'll give it a try. And just like that, we'll get Celebi, which is pretty freaking amazing. So, let me show you how I did that. Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Glitch Pokemon Gold. As you saw, we're going to be doing some pretty cool stuff today. That's because we're going to be doing the coin case glitch. So you might guess you're going to need the coin case. Another tip is that you're going to need to have a certain amount of coins. The total amount of coins you want has to start with 1, so the first digit. So a good example is 100. And what's nice about that is you go to the game corner, you can actually buy coins. You get like 50 for like 1,000 Poké Dollars, something like that. It's pretty cheap, pretty easy to get. So you just buy that twice and you'll have 100. That works great. The next thing you want to have is some flower mail that you can conveniently get from the Goldenrod department store. And so I have on Pidgeotto here have the flower mail with this code, which is really important. It's going to be useful later. And now's a good time to mention it, but took some inspiration from a really good video from a YouTuber, TimoVM. Highly recommend checking it out. I'm going to put it in the description. I'm going to briefly cover some of this stuff, not as much detail and definitely not as well. The video is very visually pleasing, and I highly recommend checking it out, especially if you have trouble figuring this out, which you're definitely going to need to at least check out. I'm going to put a guide too on a certain part, because it's a bit tricky too. But without further ado, let's check it out. So here, the first thing, going to go into our box. Apparently you're supposed to have your current active box set to box 1. I swear I did it when it was on 2, but maybe I'm just crazy. But what is crazy is our box names, you can see. They're absolutely nuts. They make no sense. The first 10, you have to rename into these ridiculous names. This works in gold and silver, by the way, but not crystal. Because I believe, I'm not positive, I believe the coin case doesn't work the same. Things are a little bit different. Kind of like how things are different in yellow compared to red and blue and stuff like that, pretty much. So anyway, so these are the box names. So like I said, that video I mentioned from Timu, definitely check it out because it goes through everything really, really well. I'll put it here in case you want to check it, but like I said, there's one portion that I'm not going to cover because it'll take like literally 30 minutes to do. It's crazy. So the boxes have set the box 1 and those names. So we're good there. Now we're actually going to go upstairs onto the 2nd floor. Head over to this location and save the game. Once you save, you're going to want to reset. Speed, woo. Okay. So then 3 steps over, 1, 2, 3, 2 steps up, 1, 2, and then 1 step over to the left. There we go. So at this point, go to the Pokédex. You want to make sure that you have either Bellsprout or Machop. They're good options. Have those at least seen in the Pokédex. I'm going to use Bellsprout because it's easier to get to, in my opinion, and I caught, so yeah, it works. I know it works. I'm not so sure about Machop, but that doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So we've done that. Now what you want to do is go to the mail, the Pokemon that's holding the mail, and you want to read it. So there's that code again, that's important. And just close out. And then now something interesting will happen once I go into the pack. Whoops, messed that up. There we go. So you can see here, this is important. The first item here is actually going to change. So we see it's potion, which is good. I don't care about potion. You can see it's times 7 too, which is kind of nice. I'm going to go over here. You have to switch your box, or not your box, your pocket, if you will, your bag pocket at least once. Switch it like that. And then just click on the coin case and use it. You can see there the 100 coins. Let's just close out. You don't actually have to. I just did it out of habit. Whoa, look at that. In the TM bag, I now have every TM in the game and 255 of them, which in itself is already really cool doing this glitch. Like, it's actually pretty awesome. The next step involves changing quantities of all of these. Some of them you only toss 1, others you have to you can toss or sell, I'm pretty sure. The guide in that video I showed, it says sell, so maybe just stick to that, but I don't see why you can't toss them, honestly. But you have to change them, the quantities. It's just crazy, and it takes a little bit of setup, but it's totally worth it in the end. But it's also just nice to get to this point, because now you have every TM in the game, so it makes it so much easier. And the other point is that we'll actually get a wrong pocket TM, HM, whatever. And it's, in the wrong pocket, because we're in the items. It's not supposed to be here, it's supposed to be on this pocket. And we can actually use this to do ace. We actually already did ace once using the coin case to get, you know, the wrong pocket TM, which is pretty cool. So now the next step, I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to jump to where I can use the next portion. And I'll show you briefly what the TMHM bag looks like. But like I said, it's not going to help you much. Not like that video will, which I still highly recommend checking out. Alright, so we'll check out our TMHM pocket here. There's HMs down here, that's fine. It won't affect anything. Like I said, you have to modify pretty much all the quantities of every TM in here to have this work the way that we want it to. And I'm not going to show it, but here they are. It's actually really nice to get max money this way. It only takes about 20 minutes maybe doing this portion. It took me a little bit longer because I was selling stuff and then buying stuff in between to not waste the money, but it's no big deal. So with that setup, we can actually cause the wrong TM, or the wrong pocket TM, to do something cool. It's TM33, where when we click on it, it becomes like a mail writer, where we can like input our own code, like as if it's like a Gameshark kind of. Which I know it's kind of like Ace is always like, oh, is it cheating? It's kind of like cheating, and like in a way it's like you're using a Gameshark, because you're basically just modifying the game code to do whatever you want. It's kind of like cheating, but like not intended in the game to be able to do this, so it's like a glitch. And it's not using any third party. I am using nothing. I should show no cheating device. You guys are just going to trust me because I'm not going to bother. But seriously, check out that guide, and I'll tell you everything you need to know, and it's totally legit. So there's a couple things I want to talk about here. First thing is, use select to switch from lower to upper. Don't go down here and do that. I was doing that at first, and it takes forever. It's not fun. So use select to change that. Select will actually do something different here in a moment, once I hit end. But it's important before hitting end is to double check your code, because it's a lot easier to change it now than what you do afterwards. I'll explain that in a moment. There we go. So like I said, at this point I'll just hit end, because I know this is correct. And then we'll actually see a checksum, is what that's called, that 11 shows up. And that matches what it should be, so we know it's correct. So I don't have to worry about changing it, but if I wanted to, you can kind of press like on the D-pad to change certain characters or bytes. It corresponds to a byte of data, how the game looks at it. And you can modify it that way. I don't recommend it at all. You apparently can hit down 16 times on the D-pad and then like press A and like reset it, which also apparently is supposed to work, but I haven't got success doing that. So like I said, just double check before you get to this point. If I hit enter, the code will execute, Ace will take place, and something will happen, which you should know from the beginning. And if I hit select, this time it'll actually set up a new mail. It'll be like the second mail, which is good when the code is really long, which will come up later. Anyway, let's move along here. So I'm going to hit enter. It's going to execute code. Seemingly nothing happened, but just like in the intro of this episode, we'll get this. And there's Celebi. It's pretty freaking awesome. There we go. So now I'm going to put it in the front, and I'm going to do one more little code doing Ace. So give me one moment. Alright, here's the next code I'm going to use. You'll notice on this one I'm using spaces at certain spots, basically the very end of the first line and the very beginning of the second line. I don't think it matters which space you use, I just use this one. I don't think it really matters. You can see here that it does match up. So this one's pretty cool. This one's actually pretty epic, and it works for any Pokemon in the first slot. So remember, Celebi was green, but now it's like a red pinkish color, which is super awesome. If you don't know what that means it's now shiny. Because that code makes any Pokemon shiny in the first slot of your party, which is super awesome. Because I initially had a different method of showing how to get any shiny Pokemon. It's a lot longer, and it's crazy to do. This is, like I said, on borderline of cheating, so however you want to look at it. I don't care, this is pretty awesome. Fun fact, I've never used Heal Bell before. Viagra. But yeah, so you can use this to get a shiny Pokemon. Like, super easy. You can, like, obviously you have to put in the code each time, so it takes a little bit of time that way, but it's still faster than other methods that I know of. But as long as the Pokemon in front... I haven't tried it. I doubt if the Pokemon's already shiny, if you do it again, it won't make it unshiny. But, yeah. I'm not going to make everything shiny right now. There's no point in doing that right now. I'm actually going to keep showing you guys different codes that I decide to show. So... And I'm tempted to show you how to do that. Maybe I will. Alright, here we are, the magical place. the Glitch City Wiki. This particular section guides mail writer codes, which is pretty awesome. I'm gonna use Control F to save some time here. So there's a whole bunch of cool stuff we can do here. Level was not a good option, apparently. Here. Lovely computer noise, there we go. So the one I'm going to do first, and for my example, is change level. So since we're doing the English version of gold, silver, which it does work in crystal, but there's a different setup for it. I was saying that earlier. Particularly with the coin case. Anyway, that's a different topic. So for English, we'll copy this and go to this link here, TimoVM's mail converter, which is pretty awesome. And it'll bring us here. And so we'll put that code in here, English version, and then, or English language, and then version gold, silver. I'm assuming crystal's something different, because like I said earlier. Anyway, and then it'll give us the mails that we're supposed to put in. So this is where you'll find your code. It shows you the checksum, and then how many presses you have to put in, which I guess is kind of important, because some of these take a while. Like for this one, for example, you just a whole bunch of queues. But anyway, this is where you would go and what you would do to find the thing you're looking for. I'm going to show you guys a couple of these, just an example. This is my example for this one. So without further ado, let's go back to it. I didn't mention it when I was in the web browser, but with this particular code, there's actually some things you can change, you can alter. If you go back, you can see there was one section of code characters, however you want to look at it, bytes, where it was bold, and that was one where you can actually alter and change based on which level you want to get the Pokemon. I'm just going to do the one that was by default, which under my assumption was 64, but maybe not. We're actually going to see because I've never done this before. But I wanted to show you that inputting this goes like that, and that some section, I'm assuming it's early on, where it will change based on what you put in. And totally losing track here. There we go. Okay, so at this point hit end, but now since I want to add a second one, if you remember there was a second mail, or mail 2, you hit select, it opens a new one. That's something that took me a little while to figure out, because I didn't read directions. And there we go, looks pretty good. Wait a minute. If you have a good attention to detail, I actually messed up. Probably because I'm dyslexic, but after that E, it goes mail symbol, then the A, or E. It's poke, but still, the accent on the E. It's supposed to be like that. So if you had a good attention to detail, you would have noticed that from the code that I showed before I started putting this in. But there we go, that's better. So as I said earlier, always just double check before you hit end, because you can just change it nice and easy like that. It's still possible to do it without. And I'm looking at it again, and it looks like I messed up again somehow. Alright, now we're good to go. I totally mean it though, just don't hit end until you're absolutely sure it's correct. It just makes it so much easier. So there we go, we got the correct checksum now. So I can hit enter, and it's okay. That's pretty neat. So I guess the 64, because it was like 64 in bold, corresponds to 100, which makes sense, because why not have level 100? And why would you want anything less than that, unless it's a Pokemon that evolves? Because like if I changed Bellsprout, for example, to level 100, or 99, I don't know if it has a chance to evolve if you take it to 100. Like, I assume it would. But if that's the case, and would say it didn't evolve, you took it to 99, it would only evolve once. And you couldn't get Victory Bell in that case. Huh. How fitting. You in the last generation, Celebi in this generation. Celebi Smash? Question mark? Anyway, let's see another code. Alright, here's the next code I'm using. The checksum's going to be 68, so let's see if that matches up. There we go. And with this one in particular, it's another one that you can change. This one has a few variables, few changes, if you will. The default's 00, which is what we were before this. But now you can see that we're no longer the normal orangish red color, but now we're green. Which is pretty sweet. I actually really like this a lot. Does it persist? I'm curious. It does. That's awesome. I wonder if I'll like... what the heck, let's save and see if it persists. It does, that's actually really cool. And you can easily change it back. So the default is 00. I'm not going to show it again, but in the code there's a spot where it's 00, goes 01, 02, which is this one. I'm going to do another one really quick, so I'll make a brief cut to that. checksum for this one is 69 hit. And that'll make us brown, which is pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I like that we can change this. Kind of reminds me of the first generation where it changes based on where you are. I don't think there's any way to reset that normally. It seems like you can take the color palette of every NPC, like certain NPCs are certain colors. Let's see real quick. Trying to think of the colors that are available to us that missed out. There's light green and there's dark green, and I think even dark blue and normal blue. Anyway, I'm gonna show a couple more, and then we'll wrap this video up. Before we do that though, I knew I was waiting for something. When you use this, by default, there's no way to get out of here. Once you open this up, there's no way to get out without trying to execute code. However, if you hit capital R lowercase h, you're able to leave to where nothing will happen, and we get block 9 for our checksum. And there we go, nothing happened, and it's fine. Because if you randomly execute certain code, it might do something to your game that you don't want. Because you're just messing with bytes of data, basically, and gosh knows what's gonna happen. Anyway, let's show you another effect. Alright, this next code, or exploit, however you want to look at it, we have to hijack the OAM DAM, which will allow us to constantly cause an effect with the code that we put in. Because if we don't do that and just put the code in, it'll only work for a frame, my understanding, or one time. It's basically what I understand. But when we do it this way, you have to put, the point is to put like 7 codes in, so it takes forever. But it's worth it because look at this. I can now run like the running shoes. It's actually pretty funny. It's the same speed as the bike, but still, we can kind of do that. Now that's cool and all, but the best part is with this, if we hold down B, we can run. If we hold down A, we can walk through walls. Pretty freaking awesome. And my character is white now. There's a graphical glitch. I changed the player's palette for the heck of it. Let's see here, yeah. It's gonna be graphical glitches. There's a trainer that fought me. There's red right there. Not red, sorry. There's me in red. So gold. There we go. Anyway. Gotta be careful because it's easy to crash. That guy will try and fight me. And he can see you through walls too. He'll walk through walls to fight you. There's me in brown. Okay, here we go. Dodge that guy. Sudowoodo is a trainer now. Oh, interesting. So something cool that's kind of famous, which I want to show later, but I'll show it now. Didn't happen this time. He can form at me, which is okay. Dodge that guy, hopefully by doing this. What's cool about this version? What the heck? That just looks silly. That's pretty cool. Go this way. Things aren't quite as broken. There we go. That's what I wanted to see. And so if we talk to him, that'll happen, which is pretty silly. Alright. It's actually all I really want to show for this. And I think Celebi's level 100, so why not do a Celebi smash? Ancient power. Celebi smash! But I totally mean it. Check out TimoVM's video. I'll link it in the description. It'll help a lot with getting the idea how to set this up. It's a very powerful glitch. It's a massive glitch. There's so much you can do with it. I think the possibilities are basically endless. It's awesome. It's probably my new favorite glitch because there's so much you can do. Makes the game pretty much as broken as it was in Generation 1. Obviously, we can't make glitch Pokemon out of thin air. There's only so many glitch Pokemon. But it's still pretty neat. But yeah, big thanks to TimoVM. Big thanks to you guys for watching. Appreciate it a lot. You made it this far. It's awesome. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you next time.